Good evening. Hope everybody's doing all right. Howdy, Tracy. Hope you're feeling okay. I I'm really thinking about going and changing my name. Because well, I mean, look, it's got to be pretty simple, right? I just go in, I put in for a legal change of name. I'm going to identify myself as Ukraine so that Big Daddy Biden might send me $1 billion or something, right? I call it the BBB, the BBB. Anyway, not the Build Back Better. Hell, I can't think of something on the fly like that. Oh well. I should have worked something out on that, but we don't do scripts here, so anyway. Oh my goodness. Don't really have anything to update you on. I pretty much I put the it's mostly back together. The that power box, so that kind of really bummed me out that that one died, but it is what it is. So other than that, just trying to give everything. Oh, I wanted to say something that I learned. So in prepping as preppers, we often have a plan A, plan B, and we always learn things that we miss when we have things happen. And when the power went out this morning, I had on the earlier videos had explained how it all went down. I woke up, I don't know, it was 3 something or something this morning. I don't remember the time exactly, but I woke up and security system screaming at me because I didn't have an internet connection. And so not only that, but the uninterruptible power supply is also beeping like mad. So I get up. Clearly we have no power. Of course, first things first, I check and make sure that my phone works. So it came up. So I thought, okay, we're not talking EMP. We're good. So, and I guess there must have been real heavy storms that had already moved through, and I must have slept through them, I guess. And they must have taken the power out. Well, it wasn't at the time. It wasn't lightning. It wasn't thunder. Nothing. I mean, I was like, okay, the power's out. So I got up and I grabbed the I call it a Rockpals unit, even though it's branded Forion. They were born as Rockpals unit, so I call it a Rockpals unit. I grabbed it because I was thinking, well, this ought to be enough. Wrong. Well, anyway. The surge that I put through it was enough to zap the sucker. So I wasn't able to repair it. I wasn't able to find exactly where it is that in the inverter where it went bad. So wasn't able to repair it, but I did come up with another plan. However, this is my point. All right, I had a backup. No problem. EcoFlow Delta to the rescue. And not a problem. Got it all set up. Everything's going. We're all back in business. However, we're sitting there, and I've got real old batteries on this uninterruptible power supply. I got to replace the batteries on that. They're bad. And anyway, so it was probably maybe an hour or so, and all of a sudden it started doing its fast beeping, and that's telling me that the battery's getting low. Oh, great. So the EcoFlow Delta's in the bedroom, and of course, all the other equipment's right here where I'm sitting, and so I thought, okay, no sweat. I've got a 40-foot extension cord, right, just grab it, and not a problem. Just use the extension cord, plug in the uninterruptible power supply to the extension cord obviously into the EcoFlow Delta. Puts out enough that it's going to be able to handle all of that at once, no problem. So right as I was digging for the cord, the power came back on. But my point is I had to dig for that cord. Now, in all fairness, I did just move my tools, and that part of my tools, I did just move that. And in fact, today when I went to grab it out to to use it, I had to look for it, and it was around about in the area I thought it was, just a little different spot. It's under the futon over there. There's a futon right over there, and so that's why I've been putting my tools under it. And so my whole point of all that nonsense and ramble jamble is that, make sure not only for you to have your plan B, but anything that you need to assist with your plan B, like an extension cord, make sure to have that stuff together. So now, instead of me putting that extension cord, because I've only got one, like, shop type, like, extension cord, I got a ton of the, ones that are great for house fires. But I only got one that's more or less for like a garage or whatever. And so I'm going to keep it with the, all of the power stuff. So that way I know where it's at. If I need it at a moment's notice, it's right there. But that was a lesson that I learned. And I would normally tell you that, have multiples. Okay, and don't ever take out of your prepping stuff, But in this case, I don't, and eventually I will work on that, and I will get some other cords and make sure some stay. I have that all good to go as far as like for charging cables and all that. I've got USB-Cs, micro USBs, mini USBs. I make sure to have all that stuff right there with that stuff, because that way, if I ever need it, it's just right there. I don't have to go hunting. So, aside from don't be a dumbass and plug too much stuff in and surge your solar generator till it pops, other than that, that's about the only lesson that I learned, was to make sure that I had that cord a little more handy than what it was. So, other than that, everything was fine. Not that big deal, just power going out. But when you've got 5,000 things screaming beep 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 beep, it's you're a little bit in a mad rush to shut the hell up. You know what I mean? So. And then waking up out of a good sleep, that didn't help matters any. Let's see. As usual, I do have some tabs open, not a ton of them, but we do have, of course, all the headlines to cover from Friday until now. Kind of been just the, same old crazy going on. Yikes, man. That's kind of crazy. Knowing the road through here. Driving that Corvette like that. Let's see. So anyway, I got some tabs open. I figured we would do the usual thing, go over a few articles and get some headlines gone through and then get out of here. Let me go ahead and bring you on over. So, the Deutsche Bank, I thought they referred to it as something else in the, because they changed headlines again. I hate when they change headlines. Man. Pardon me. Anyway, as you see, the headlines say, global recession risk warning issued. Says Deutsche Bank CEO Christian I guess it's Sewing. said on Wednesday the global economy may be headed for a recession as central banks scramble to combat inflation. At least I would say we have 50% likelihood of a recession globally, Sowing said at a Future of Finance summit in Frankfurt, as quoted by Bloomberg. According to the top banker, the chances of a recession hitting the U.S. and Europe in the second half of 2023 are higher than the bank's previous forecast before the start of the conflict in Ukraine. Sowing highlighted that the world economy is facing mounting pressure, including from inflation and supply chain issues. He had anticipated that central banks would hike interest rates in response to soaring inflation, noting that the pace is surprising. Last week, the U.S. Federal Reserve announced its single largest rate hike since 1994, raising rates by 0.75 of a percentage point as the economy continued to weaken. So, definitely not in any better situation as far as the economy is concerned. Man, I don't know when they're going to let it go, but I have a feeling they're going to, and I don't think they're real far off. I do think, though, that we'll probably make it into 2023, maybe 2024, maybe. I don't know, though, if it'll be that long before we're in military conflict. 1 second. Yeah, I have a feeling that we're going to be in conflict pretty quick like. Anyway, I thought this was awful interesting, and I don't know if they have any more on it yet. Probably not quite yet, but a real interesting story here. 22 young people dead in South African nightclub. Says at least 22 people were found dead in a nightclub in the South African city of East London on Sunday. The cause of death is still unclear, and no obvious signs of injury on the bodies have been reported. Emergency workers were called to the, and I can't pronounce that, tavern in early hours of Sunday morning and arrived to find bodies lying strewn across tables, chairs, and on the floor with no obvious signs of injury, according to the Daily Dispatch, a South African news site. The newspaper said that reporters had been informed that 22 people died with no visible wounds or injuries. It is speculated that the deceased were either exposed to some kind of toxic substance or were injured and killed in a stampede. I don't think it's the stampede. However, Police Minister Becky Seeley told News 24 that by the looks of things there was no stampede. A local resident told the South African News Network that it was definitely not a stampede. Some bodies were still in their chairs while others were found lying on the floor. So, said we are going to immediately be embarking on autopsies so we can know the probable cause of death, a spokesperson for the Eastern Cape Department of Health told Reuters. Police told reporters outside the tavern that those died were between the ages of 18 and 20, according to the Associated Press. They had been celebrating the end of school exams. It's crazy. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa referred to the dead as teenagers in a post on Twitter. Ramaphosa expressed his deepest condolences to the families of the dead, remarking that the tragedy is made even more grave by its occurrence during Youth Month, a time in which we celebrate young people. That is crazy. Second. That is absolutely nuts. So I am curious. I am truly curious what was used. I absolutely think it was a gas of some kind. And I think they'll know pretty quick. But the big question is why? What would be the reason? So I don't know. I'm gonna try to make sure to kind of keep checking in on this and see if I can figure out anything else. So, but it is definitely interesting. So this is in the news, rightfully so. Epstein Madam Ghislaine Maxwell, that is, put on suicide watch. Huh. Well, if the trend goes per usual, I guess she won't be hanging herself sometime soon. Convicted sex offender Ghislaine Maxwell has been placed on suicide watch in the Brooklyn jail, where she awaits sentencing on charges related to her activities with now-deceased pedophile financier Jeffrey Epstein. Her lawyers complained in a letter on Friday that she had been removed from the general population without justification and warned her sentencing may have to be postponed. Well, yeah, because you can't try dead people. Or you can't sentence them. Yesterday, you just don't know that you're sad yet. Ghislaine, just relax. You're going to get very, very depressed, and just out of the blue, you're going to get really, really, really sad, and some really wild circumstances are going to occur around, like, 50 cameras and, 20 security guards, and somehow you'll have this brand new nylon rope just, I don't know, somebody must have hit it in your room. And, yeah. That's like that case. Remember that this one of my favorites, not my favorite. My favorite case, I gotta say it, my favorite case was the guy that shot himself in the head. Sorry, I get so excited talking about it. Shot himself in the head like 13 times with a nail gun, right? That's my favorite. That is my favorite. Now, my second favorite is the person that they like dismembered themselves, put themselves inside of a duffel bag, zipped it up, and locked it. Now, if you're going to commit suicide, that's how you do it. Hell, Houdini was an amateur. Absolute amateur. Nah, that's the real deal there. Anyway, sorry, got a little sidetracked. Convicted sex offender Ghislaine Maxwell has been... did I read this part now? Or already? Oh, yeah, I did. Yesterday, without having conducted a psychological evaluation and without justification, the Manhattan Detention Center placed Ms. Maxwell on suicide watch. The disgraced socialite's lawyer, Bobby Sternheim, said in the letter addressed to Judge Allison Nathan, adding that she is not suicidal. She just don't know it yet. A psychologist had evaluated Maxwell on Saturday. Sorry. I shouldn't find humor in it, because that's not what I should do. But it's kind of hard. It's just really kind of hard not to feel cynical. But anyway, come to the same conclusion, Sternheim claimed if Ms. Maxwell remains on suicide watch, is prohibited from reviewing legal materials prior to sentencing, becomes sleep deprived, and is denied sufficient time to meet with and confer with counsel, we will be formally moving on Monday for an adjournment, the lawyer threatened, pointing out that she is not permitted to possess and review legal documents and is not permitted paper or pen while on watch. Well, no. I mean, if she had a pen, she might, be able to defend herself from hanging herself. You know. Anyway, according to her lawyers, Maxwell was carried off to solitary confinement with nothing but the suicide schmuck. Prisoners intending to harm themselves are provided, and a few sheets of toilet paper, just a few, no clothing, toothpaste, soap, legal papers, etc. What are you going to do with like 5 sheets of toilet paper? I mean, because I'm telling you what, man, I'm going to need more than 3 sheets. I'm telling you. Crazy. Anyway, I shouldn't make light of any of this, but, I want nothing but hell for these people. All of the people that are involved. And so I do feel a little bit cynical when I discuss them. and I shouldn't, but can I use the righteous anger loophole on that? The only thing that really matters is whether he's good with that. I think he would be good with that. Let's see. Poland seeks NATO... be a little change of topic. Poland seeks NATO brigade group on its territory. And... yeah, there's a lot going on over there now. This here says Poland is seeking to further increase NATO's presence on its territory. Defense Minister Mariusz Błaszczak, okay, I got it, has said Warsaw wants a brigade group in addition to the troops already stationed there. He told Polska Times in a, sorry, I'm butchering this, in an interview published on Saturday. I can't pronounce this stuff. The security of NATO's eastern flank has required special attention for a long time, that dude said, who is also Poland's deputy prime minister, said. He also revealed that 4 new battalion groups are being formed to be sent to the region and potentially operate on territory stretching from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. However, the minister believes that additional buildup is needed. I can confirm that we're advocating for the deployment of a brigade group in Poland within NATO structures, he said. He also praised the U.S., saying Poland has been hosting an increasing number of American troops for years, and maintaining this permanent presence is one of my priorities. Well, that's good news, because I'm sure the United States would like to be there permanently. According to that dude, the U.S. is the leading state in NATO battle group in Poland and is helping to develop the command structures of Poland's land forces on the basis of bilateral agreements. Warsaw is the largest host of NATO troops on the bloc's eastern flank, he added. Poland does not plan to rely on foreign troops for security, but wants to increase the numbers of its own armed forces to 300,000, according to the minister. According to a report by British think tank IISS in 2021, that's kind of close to ISIS, Poland's military included 114,050 active duty personnel. And the cat. Don't forget the cat. So, they are seeking more NATO. Hang on, I gotta have some coffee. Fun times. So, I am pretty positive that a lot of that build-up is going to continue to happen, along with stuff like this. Russia to supply neighbor with Iskander-M missile systems. Moscow will provide Minsk with Iskander-M mobile short-range missile systems, Russian President Vladimir Putin announced during a meeting with his Belarusian counterpart Alexander Lukashenko on Saturday. The decision has been made. Within the next few months will transfer to Belarus the Iskander-M tactical missile systems, which can use both ballistic and cruise missiles in both their conventional and nuclear versions, Putin announced as the two leaders met in St. Petersburg. The Russian president suggested that the defense ministers and chiefs of the general staff of the neighboring countries should now get together and start working out all the details of this joint work. During the meeting, Lukashenko also asked Russia for assistance in upgrading Belarusian jets so that they could carry missiles with nuclear warheads. He said he was increasingly concerned by training flights of U.S. and NATO nuclear-capable warplanes near Belarusian airspace. Putin agreed to help, saying that this modernization should be carried out at aircraft factories in Russia. We'll agree on how to make it happen. In May, Lukashenko announced that Belarus had purchased the required number of Iskander-M mobile systems and S-400 air defense systems from Russia. He also said that Moscow would assist Minsk in producing missiles, including those used by the Iskanders. Iskander M systems were put into service with the Russian military in 2006. They can fire missiles with both conventional and nuclear warheads a distance of up to 500 kilometers. So, that's going to get his reach out there a little bit further should he need it. Definitely puts a lot more stuff in striking distance. I'm pretty sure it does. Hang on. Oh, look. The Earth is flat. Wow. Look at that. It is flat. Alright. Enough nonsense. Turkey. Turkey. I don't know my countries, man. No, I really don't. I know we should be over in this area. Hang on. It's hard for me to see the different borders. Saudi Arabia. Oh, there's Israel. Okay. I don't know why. Okay, there's Iran, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India. And we're looking for Belarus. That's actually up here, I think, ain't it? Yeah, here. Duh. Okay. So, yeah. I just wanted to take a quick peek again at the map. So, yeah, you're talking Belarus would get him out all the way through here. Poland's right here. So, if we're building up in Poland, that would definitely, I don't know what the distance would be. Major distance. I don't know. We'll say from Minsk to... 600 and, yeah, I don't know, 600 and some odd mile. So I don't know. Hang on. I know I'm a tard. So yeah, I wouldn't quite reach out that far. You're talking... Can't see it because I got that stupid thing in the way. Probably like somewhere around in there. So yeah, they could take out Warsaw from Minsk. So that would make something count. Yikes. So anywho, that's what I wanted to see, if there was anything significant that they could reach out and touch. You know what I mean? So that's what's going on with that. NATO to decide on biggest deployment since Cold War. The upcoming NATO summit in Madrid might see military bloc decide to send thousands of troops to Russia's doorstep, the Spanish newspaper El País reported on Sunday, citing its sources. The bloc, which is set to reinvent itself next week, will also reportedly cut all ties with Moscow, the paper added. NATO member states are ready to turn Eastern Europe into a fort, hosting thousands of soldiers and large quantity of military equipment amid fear of a potential Russian assault, El País explained, citing sources familiar with negotiations. Which are still taking place at the military bloc's headquarters in Brussels ahead of the summit scheduled for June 28th through the 30th. The U.S.-led organization wants to send a message that it is on war footing. You hear this? The U.S.-led organization wants to send a message that it is on war footing and ready to respond to any aggression, the paper said. NATO would also use the summit to boost national defense spending and joint financing of the bloc, it added. The main debate in Madrid will be between Eastern European states who would like to transform the battalions into heavily armed brigades stationed permanently on their territories, and others such as the US or Germany who prefer to continue with its current strategy of rotating forces, which are reinforced in the event of a crisis or conflict. Jamie Shea, a former high-ranking NATO official who currently heads the Center for War Studies at the University for Southern Denmark, told El País. So, even if the bloc decides for a lighter deployment strategy, Eastern European members might see NATO forces currently stationed within their borders doubled. The group stationed in Poland and the Baltic states, now consisting between 1,000 and 1,600 soldiers, would double in size and would also have greater autonomy and more sophisticated weapons, according to El País. So, and I would expect that you're going to see this really, really keep building. And I really don't know how much longer before something pops off. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be long. But like I say, I think it's going to be one of those countries over there first. Just like the other wars, I think it's going to be one of those countries over there that gets involved first, and then we'll pile on. Let's see. I thought this was kind of crazy. BBC staff told there were more than 150 genders. Fun times, right? What time is it? It's time to quit your job. Anyway. I said that. The BBC hired trans and non-binary inclusion consultants to tell its staff that there are more than 150 genders and instruct them to police each other's use of gender pronouns, the Telegraph reported on Saturday. According to the report, the BBC emailed its radio producers and program editors urging them to attend several training sessions last year organized by Global Butterflies, a group that describes itself on LinkedIn as offering trans and non-binary corporate inclusion training and consultation. Well, you just have to live the moment. During the session, staff were reportedly told that people can self-identify themselves in over 150 ways and increasing. They were shown examples of newly invented gender pronouns such as ze, them, and zers, and told to include their own pronouns in their email signatures to be more inclusive and welcoming to further their trans brand. Trans brand. Somebody needs to get that domain, transbrand.com, right? And go into selling trans brands, right? Good idea? No, it sucks? Yeah, I thought so. Those opting to go by traditional he, she pronouns, how be so frickin' lame, we're told that these descriptors can create discomfort, stress, anxiety for trans and non-binary colleagues that use and that using correct pronouns names reduces depression and suicide risks. I got one question for you, Sparky. When we run out of food on the shelves, are they still going to care about this? Because if the answer to that is no, maybe they might want to quit living in their little dreamy land and start facing some reality and maybe preparing for it. Because seriously, and I would say this on the gambit of issues, if you're all worked up in social issues right now, I'm not saying don't stand up for what you believe in and all that stuff, but what I'm saying is if you're more worked up in the issues, the social issues, than what you are trying to get ready for we've got an inevitable nightmare in front of us. Nobody can sit here and tell you exactly how it's going to play out or exactly what's going to happen or anything like that. Now, I'm not going to sit there and make this prediction and that prediction and that predict. That's not what I do. I have no idea. how the red flag is going to look. And I don't know that it's going to look the same for all of us at the same time. It may not. People in the, mainly, look at the Southwest. They may be having water wars out there. I don't know what we would be looking at. We've got resources here in the Midwest, but there would still be battles over food. There'd still be battles over fuel. Typical resources. Even though we wouldn't have to worry so much about water, you still have everything else. So, I don't know what to tell folks, but anybody that's letting themselves be so worked up in this are sheep's being led to a slaughter. Because none of that's going to make a damn bit of difference. What? I got huffed? I got huffed. Well, I'm sorry your opinion differs from me. Oh. Hey, at least she's not scruffing yet. Give her time. Let's see. I have a few vapes here. Fun. Yeah, it took me a while last night to even realize it was necessarily a storm that rolled through here that took power out. So my first priority was to shut the screaming beeping up, and then from there, try to figure out just what was going on. So I looked, and the storm had already passed through. That I guess what took the power out, and then we had another. Shortly after that, we had another little bit move through, and it wasn't nothing to speak of. Just a little lightning and thunder and some rain. Oh, did she start? So yeah, it said something. So. Alright, let's read some headlines and sneak out of here. Alright, starting with the news from Friday. Havana syndrome victims get 6-figure compensation. Well, that must be nice. I've got tinnitus. Can I need some reparations, please. Supreme Court gun ruling disappoints Biden. Well, Biden, you disappoint the country, buddy, so. Biden flashes notes on how to sit. Senate passes gun control bill. U.S. censorship of Russian media has failed, says Microsoft. The UK could send Ukrainian refugees to Rwanda. Okay. EU should end sanctions on Russia, says Hungarian PM's aide. Germany warns entire industries could stop due to a gas shortage. India's imports of Russian oil explode, says Economic Times. And by the way, Germany, I don't know, whose fault is that? Just asking for a friend. And don't say Russia. You're the ones that was the world leader in solar power. How's that working out for you? And I love solar power. Let me make that very clear. I love alternative energy. But what I also love is common sense and planning. Germany seeking to nationalize its section of Nord Stream 2, says Der Spiegel. A candidate state says it hopes to join EU in 22nd century. Assange's wife sounds alarm over his treatment. Meningococcal, if I said that right, meningococcal outbreak recorded in the U.S. Well, if I didn't say it right, you got to figure it out on your own. EU's top economy urged to consider fracking. EU and NATO forming coalition for war against Russia, says Lavrov. Resuming talks with Ukraine has conditions, says Moscow. Russian gold arrives in Switzerland. Supreme Court overturns Roe versus Wade. I'm sure you probably have heard that news. Maybe. Possibly. Let's see. Russia reveals number of encircled Ukrainian troops. Every second Brit is cutting back on food shopping, says survey. No. Let me correct that. They are not cutting back on food shopping. They can't afford the food shopping, because there's a difference. When you're cutting back, you are willingly doing it. You are wantingly doing it, right? I know I probably made up a word there. But it's a little bit different than when you just don't have the money to get that box of Cheez-Its, you know? A little bit of a different story. EU's next potential sanctions target revealed. A possible reason for speedy transmission of monkeypox revealed. Transfer of bodily fluids in ways that First U.S. state implements Supreme Court ruling on abortion. That would have been Missouri. U.S. makes confession about skyrocketing food and energy prices. Yeah, Missouri, swooped right in. I think he had that paperwork all ready to go, and I think he had his intern keep his ink warm on his pen, because the moment the Supreme Court dropped that, he dropped his proclamation. I mean, it was boom. Putin responds to claims about world hunger. A Russian lawmaker predicts fate of U.S. dollar. EU faces internal row over admission process, says media. Zelensky plans to fire Ukraine's top spy, says Politico. A G7 denies sanctions are causing global food crisis. Ukraine replenishes combat losses with convicts and women, says an RT source. U.S. passes bipartisan gun control law. Twitter hires alarming number of ex-spies, says an investigation. Not surprised, are you? U.S. baby formula crisis. Should the demand be so high? Just kind of asking some important questions there. World's deepest shipwreck found. Biden slams historic Supreme Court ruling. Moscow comments on EU strategy. UN condemns U.S. abortion decision. Well, that's just fine, because we condemn the UN. Serbia reveals how to get fast-track pass to the EU. Western Balkans come one step closer to EU accession. U.S. corporations react to abortion ruling. Almost half of the rivers are contaminated by drugs, says a study. So you don't have to go out and do a line anymore or nothing like that. Just go out to a river and grab you a glass of river water, and you'll be stoned for days. Democrat lawmakers encourage pro-abortion protests. Abortion ruling triggers violent extremism warning. And as you saw, we haven't really seen anything horrible, and that's great. That's good. I'm glad to see that. I did honestly expect more to happen than what did. I did. A little bit, but not a lot. And the reason why is, there's tons of reasons that add to it, but number one, there's a lot of people out there that are starting to wake up that things aren't quite right in this country. And there's a lot of people waking up to that. There's also a lot of people waking up to the fact that the government, left nor right, gives a damn about any of us. And more people are starting to wake up to that. And the more people that wake up to that, the less people that are going to be willing to do their bidding with all these stupid talking points and crap that they, Man, there are far better things that we could be spending our time doing than bickering over social issues. Plain and simple. But they keep us like hamsters running in circles in a cage. Okay, that's so we don't get anywhere. Humans, all you have to do to get them to fail is to allow them to give in to human nature. Yeah, the damnedest thing. Because if a human being isn't self-disciplinary, they will do some shady stuff. And as time goes on, as time has gone on, there has been more and more people that were willing to do shady stuff. It's like I've always said, if we want to fix the problem, it's got to start at first in our hearts. In our hearts, our minds, our homes, our communities, our counties, states, and our nation, and eventually the world. But if it doesn't start in our own hearts personally, you will never be able to receive that outcome. Just the way it is. Things don't work top down, they work bottom up. When you try to make things go top down and give everybody else control over you, not going to work out good for you. So anyway, I'm glad nothing serious happened. And I really didn't think it was going to be mass chaos and all of that stuff. I didn't. I really didn't. A lot of people are more concerned about other things right now than protesting. So, let's see. There's a lot of people that probably couldn't afford to go and protest, to be honest. There were probably a lot of people that couldn't afford the gas. I mean, I know protesters often get slammed as unemployed and all that, and that's not the case. There's a lot of people that protest. The reason why you see protests blow up so big on Fridays and Saturdays is because more people have off work, so they can attend the protests. Yes, there are absolutely people there that are absolutely there every day that don't work and all of that. But you know what? You're going to find that on the right side too. So it's not something that's political, That's what that blows my mind, is that the way that people will put each other in boxes and how firm they will draw those lines of those boxes. And it ain't true whatsoever. I know so many people that consider themselves on the left that support the Second Amendment. It's unreal. Most of the people I know that vote left support the Second Amendment. Fact. So it's hard for me to sit there and draw that line. I also know a lot of people on the left that aren't in favor of abortion. So there's that. So I mean, you can't draw those lines like that. People are people. And the whole thing, the two-party Republican-Democrat thing, was a trick from the beginning to get us to this point, to where we are today, where they can take everything out from underneath of us because they got at least half of the people cheering it on the entire time. That was the plan. Why I'm not a fan of voting, why I'm not a fan of the two-party system, because it's a rigged game. You ain't got a chance of winning it. And until we wake up and face that fact and do something about it, we're just pissing in the wind, and I'm tired of getting wet. Anyway, continuing on. Let's see. Mass shooting in Norway leaves multiple casualties. Protesters clash with police in Los Angeles. Pro-choice protesters tear-gassed outside Arizona Capitol. Oh, wait a minute. Yeah, we're on yesterday's news. We actually crossed over the Rubicon with the abortion headline that I read. Hang on. But yeah, I mean, protesters were tear gassed. It wasn't nothing big. There wasn't, a bunch of places that burned to the ground or nothing like that. African leaders shun Zelensky. U.S. must endure pain to fix the inflation, says the IMF. U.S. tech giant pledges to leave Russia. U.S. and allies launch new alliance in the Pacific. Norway shooting investigated as terrorism, says police. U.S. banks ask Washington for Russia sanctions workaround, says the media. I think what they probably asked for was a reach around, but, just saying. EU buying more Russian oil, says Bloomberg. Those of you that got that and are laughing, shame on you. Let's see. Kremlin reacts to Ukraine's EU candidate status. WHO gives update on mysterious child hepatitis outbreak. South American nation wants to join BRICS. A German vice chancellor reduces shower time again. Let's see. Police take action over military supplies for Ukrainian troops. NATO predicts how Ukraine conflict will end. Airline giant makes prediction on travel. Russia to keep national debt low, says media. UK PM reveals what may force him to resign. Dozens of foreign fighters killed in Donbass strikes, says Russia. Germany issues gas price warning. China threatens military action. U.S. is now international outlier, says Biden, because of the abortion ruling. Norway raises terrorist threat level to extraordinary. Many EU countries are in direct war with Russia, says Serbia. Ukraine's neo-Nazi Azov battalion has built a state within a state, and it despises both Russia and the liberal West. And it's a pretty good article explaining it. One of their, what they call their explainer articles. So I share some of those out because some of them are pretty good articles. EU nation calls for U-turn on fossil fuels, says media. U.S. Congresswoman insults UK journalist. Russia trying to drag Belarus into the conflict, says Ukraine. Sweden should address fundamental issues to join NATO, says a key member. Ukraine will decide what victory looks like, says the U.S. EU has solution for blockade of Russia's Kaliningrad, says MEP. Strategic city in Lugansk People's Republic freed, says Russian military. Ukraine won't pursue NATO membership, says a Zelensky advisor. Putin disagrees with Lukashenko on nuclear NATO issue. Major migrant influx into the EU enclave ends in deaths. European city heads targeted by fake mayor of Kiev. U.S. lawmakers attempt to declare Ukraine conflict a genocide, says media. WHO issues monkeypox emergency report. Jetpack man haunts pilots again. They're seeing him, I think, out there in L.A., where they're seeing that dude. Pentagon weighs in on abortions. I find it crazy that they have anything to say about it. You know, what happened to, the military was supposed to stay out of stuff like that? Whatever happened to that? It's like one half of the military. It depends on what your opinion is. If your opinion's with what the government wants it to be, what the media wants it to be, well, then you're fine to say it. But if you're any way, shape, or form related to the government, military, whatever, and you go against them, well, then you're an extremist. Can't remember the name of the Marine not super long ago that I guess he actually got court-martialed over the his comments on the pullout of Afghanistan. I can't remember his name. Let's see. Ukraine may suspend visa-free travel for Israelis. Finnair is nearly broke after ban from Russian skies. Lithuania clarifies stance on Russian exclave transit. G7 summit kicks off in Germany. G7 in talks to curb Russia's oil revenue, says Reuters. Countries set to ban Russian gold revealed. MPs want abortion rights inscribed into the Constitution. Let's see. Covered those. Ukraine joining NATO has never been on the table, says Spain. Energy majors call on the French to save energy. Western network of commandos and spies helps Ukraine, says New York Times. Japanese UFO researchers report hundreds of encounters. A number of foreign businesses planning to leave Russia revealed. Boris Johnson reveals downside of settling Ukraine conflict. Biden says Putin's hopes are dashed. Biden doesn't even remember a dash from a dot. Let's see. EU steps back into coal age, says media. Civilians hurt by Russian shelling of Kiev, says Ukraine. Russian defense minister inspects the troops fighting in Ukraine. Putin to make first foreign trip since February. NATO to decide on biggest deployment. Oh, I covered that one. EU nation assess impact of halting imports from Russia and Belarus. Gold ban will cost Russia $19 billion, says the U.S. Russian drilling rig is shelled again. Shall we take our clothes off? UK PM asks G7 leaders. UK Culture Secretary reveals plans for trans bans. West agrees to support Kiev indefinitely, says the media. British PM diffuses anger over third-term talk. Let's see, I covered that one. Stadium crashes, killing at least 5 and dozens injured. Turkey explains why it does not impose sanctions on Russia. Prince Charles scrutinized over bags of Qatari cash. And Iran launches space rocket. So there you go. The happenings. Hopefully things don't get too out of hand this week, but I'm not going to hold my breath. There's a few things that are starting to look a little funky. So we'll see, especially involving with stuff like involving Ukraine and Russia and all of that. So, anywho, I am going to get out of here and relax for the rest of my evening, and God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. I appreciate you coming. I hope to see you tomorrow. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit, and shalom.